Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be checking out the Fall of Cadia Explained Warhammer 40k lore by MajorKill. Yes guys, this was recommended to me by Fear and his Shadow Cabal over on the Discord. So big thank you to you guys for those recommendations. As always, a lot of you guys have been suddenly spewing that Cadia stands and that the planet never broke, you know what I'm saying? So I see you guys, We're picking it up here today with the Fall of Cadia Explained. Now MajorKill, I do have mixed opinions on I guess the drama surrounding MajorKill's channel, but in terms of his Warhammer content, his Warhammer lore, and the videos that he produces on Warhammer, I've never had a problem with any single one of them. I think he does a pretty good job on them, I have to say. So yeah, without any further delay, the Fall of Cadia. Now I have to say too, one of my favorite I guess cutscenes animations of the Fall of Cadia would be from Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2. The way they did that opening, the way they did that intro was fantastic, really cool, and just gave you a sense of the desperation and scale surrounding Cadia at that time. Now, of course, we do kind of know roughly what happens, but another explanation on this is never a bad thing. The Fall of Cadia is just, while it's a very sad time in Warhammer history, it's a very important one, and it's also just cool as shit, you know what I'm saying, for lack of a better word. So of course we're gonna leave a like. We have captions on 1440p full screen, and without any further delay guys, I say we get right into this video. The Fall of Cadia Explained by MajorKill.
G'day guys and gal. Almost all wars and conflicts
guys and gal, hey
epic. That's what makes Warhammer Warhammer, but some really stand above the rest. The Siege of Terror is one great example of this. However, the Fall of Cadia just might be the most epic conflict in the current setting.
Arguably, I think it's better than the Siege of Terror.
The characters, the tactical genius of both sides of the conflict, and the fact that both sides got to show.
I shouldn't say that. It's hard because it's different time periods, and again, I love the fucking showing of all of the Primarchs, just what they do, that actual like fucking emotional toil that the Siege of Terror takes on everybody. It's such a fucking hard time, but man, the Battle of Cadia, again, just the way it's done, the scale, you know, it's, and the fact that it's right outside the Eye of Terror, it's the first invasion for Abaddon's fleet. Like, I don't know, I think it's honestly very hard for me, because the Fall of Cadia is just fucking up there for me. I don't know, that's a hard one.
The characters, the tactical genius of both sides of the conflict, and the fact that both sides got to show off their strengths. There are literally scenes from the Fall of Cadia where Chaos is the one who is like, oh shit, and crumbles before a vengeful loyalist onslaught. I just finished the Fall of Cadia book, and as someone who has read over 100 full-length 40k books, it's easily in my top 5. Robert Lath is an amazing writer. So this also makes me highly qualified to cover the Fall of Cadia's lore, detailing what happened, the best moments, who was involved, how Chaos actually won, and how the Loyalists were so close to actually achieving a true and total victory over the forces of Chaos, moments before Abaddon snatched victory back from the jaws of defeat. Before we get started, this is the final 24 hours of the MajorKill merch drop, our best designs brought back for one final run. We have 2 singlets, the Get Up Gym singlet and the Only in Death singlet. Both are awesome, both look great even on the street or in the gym, with the Only in Death getting worn by a pro wrestler during one of his events. Then we have a controversial duo of t-shirts, the Loyalty t-shirt. That's actually really cool. T-shirt. Both t-shirts are baddie certified. You can even get one for your missus in large or extra large as a homeware t-shirt.
Get one for the missus, dude. Who does MajorKill think his audience is? Come on now. Come on, the missus. He jests.
Dress. You can save by bundling different items together, and all legacy merch remaining is 25% off as well. So if you see another design you like, you can tack it onto your order for cheaper.
I have to say, cool merch though. Like actually genuinely cool merch. I like that.
And we will not be doing this again. There also will be no leftover merch from this drop, so there will be no legacy merch, and none of it will be a part of a Black Friday sale. All of this is made to order. Last chance link is below. Today we'll go over the Fall of Cadia, detailing how Abaddon actually managed to defeat Cadia after 10,000 years, why he was so desperate to do so, and the epic last stand the Cadians put up. Let's get into it. Something really awesome about the Fall of Cadia is that despite there being loyalist Space Marines present, the vast majority of the fighting and defense was done by the Imperial Guard. Guardsmen holding the line against demons, traitor Space Marines, Titans, literally the full might of the Black Legion, going not against the full might of the Ultramarines or the Dark Angels or the Imperial Fist, no.
The Imperial Guard.
The brave men and women of Cadia, and by God were they brave. Now yes, there was a solid contingent of loyalist Space Marines.
And like that's one of the things too, right? Like again, it wasn't like because that's the thing about like the Siege of Terror, for example, right? Is that it's not an equal playing field per se, obviously, because they had the traders obviously kind of have the advantage, you know. in a sense there, but it's more the case of like, at least it's like a level playing field. You know what I mean? Like the loyalists, the traitors, they're both employing Titans, they're both employing Space Marines, they're both employing their own tactics. But here on Cadia, it is again 95% the guard versus fucking the terror of the warp. You know what I mean? Like straight up the terror of heresy itself. Like it's them against fucking basically everything. And yes, again, while there are a few Space Marines here and there, I'm sure there are a few Titans here and there, it is largely the guard. And I think that's just like one of the most impressive things about it is just like how they almost fucking won. Like that's the thing, the guard alone almost fucking won this fight, but it was only from a last act of desperation from Abaddon that didn't happen, right? So yeah, it's impressive. I don't know, man.
Cadia,
it's close for me.
God, were they brave. Now, yes, there was a solid contingent of loyalist Space Marines on Cadia, a company of Dark Angels, Space Wolves, Nova Marines, Black Templars, and a number of others. They played very much a smaller, specialized support role rather than doing the brunt of the fight.
Yeah, company ain't much.
Motherfucker. Let's set the scene.
Like it is, but it's not.
13th Black Crusade, and although it killed a lot of people, fucked up a few worlds, damaged Cadia, caused some issues, it was repelled in a similar way to how the other 12 were repelled. However, this was just a ruse by Abaddon to get the loyalists to lower their guard. Now, it wasn't just some weak source invasion. The Imperium considered it just as vicious, if not more so, as the other Black Crusades, which is why so many believed it was over when Abaddon's forces retreated.
And I have a genuine question too, and this is like,
spirit.
Again, like I guess like it depends on the situation, the circumstance, and I guess what's going on in the Imperium as a whole at that time. But what would they treat? And I'm assuming 100% it would have to be like, just because of it, like the ideological struggle, of course, like the traitor forces here. But who would they target if there was like a mass fucking Tyranid invasion, and like let's say another Black Crusade going on at the exact same time? What would the Imperium like focus down? You know what I mean? I'm assuming again, just based on ideological ideological struggle, and the fact that these are the fucking traitors, these are the heretics, these are the guys that fucking turned on us. I'm assuming they would be going for the heretics every single time, the traitors every single time. But again, like a Tyranid invasion fleet is, you can't just fucking let that fester, you know? So I'm almost curious if it came down to it, what would be target enemy number one if these things were happening at the exact same time in full force and full swing, and it was like we need to pick one to fucking like mobilize and deal with. I wonder genuinely who they would actually do.
Black Crusades,
who they would deal with.
So many believed it was over when Abaddon's forces retreated. The Vengeful Spirit and Planet Killer were in retreat, many cultists and even Black Legionnaires were slain, most of Cadian's high command were ready to throw a party. However, one man knew better, the man who was the epitome of Cadia, the unbreakable Castellan Izaka Creed. He knew in his bones that it wasn't over. He had been given overall command of Cadia during the crisis period and was refusing to vacate his role until he knew for sure it was over, much to the dismay of the rest of the Cadian High Command. Creed didn't give a fuck. This was a guy who did what he wanted when he wanted to. It was all in the best interest for Cadia for sure. There wasn't a lick of corruption on this man, but he was the ultimate shut the fuck up and fall in line, I know what I'm doing.
Literally.
He was also very well liked on Cadia as he wasn't some highborn wanker.
And like also, again, another fucking hilarious thing from Battlefleet Gothic Commando 2 during that initial intro cutscene. Who was it? It was the Archmagos from the Mechanicum. Like you can straight up see as he's like scanning Creed, like one of his fucking decisions is to like kill Creed to try to get what he wants. You know what I mean? It's like killing Creed, like 30% chance of success, like mission success if I do that. Fucking jackasses, dude. Like, but it just goes to show like the Mechanicum will consider fucking anything, even killing the hero of Cadia itself. You know what I mean? Like, damn.
Fall in line, I know what I'm doing. He was also very well liked on Cadia as he wasn't some highborn wanker. He was a soldier and a fighter just like his people. Now the reason why Abaddon wanted Cadia to lower its guard, it was because he had a trump card that would only work on a Cadia that didn't have a massive fuck off fleet guarding it.
True.
If it seemed like a massive attack was inbound, Cadia would have many battle fleets and maybe even the Phalanx guarding it, ruining Abaddon's plan. He used Planet Killer, one of his best ships, to lure the Cadian fleet away from the planet as he would rather not be able to use Planet Killer in the fight than have to deal with a large Cadian navy. This is because
that does make
Abaddon's
sense.
Genius as it was boring. He had finally tamed a Blackstone fortress via infusing a powerful psychic child with Noctilith, which is Blackstone, allowing the child to interface with the Blackstone fortress. The child saw Abaddon as its father, the Blackstone fortress as its mother, and would have a very tragic existence, but more on that later. See, Blackstone isn't an anti-warp tool, it's a warp resonance tool. You can use Blackstone to project and enhance the warp, or you can use it to nullify the warp. However, the child wasn't cleanly controlling the fortress, she had to infuse it with the warp, turning parts of it into a fleshy warp mess that the fortress rebelled against. However, it did give the child enough control to be able to direct the fortress and fire its main weapon, which was a turbo fuck you psychic laser beam that could one-shot almost anything, which was key in Abaddon's plan. See, when Cadia had lowered its guard, or at least as much as it could be with Creed's fist up its ass, Abaddon launched a full-scale invasion, beelining
And to
straight
think the
Cadia
wolves
with his
invaded
entire
that
Black
fucking
Legion
thing, dude.
and Blackstone fortress, called the Will of Eternity. See, Abaddon wanted to basically just fly to Cadia, use his fleet to destroy its orbital defense network, then literally just destroy each of the fortresses on Cadia with the Will of Eternity, as void shielding did not work against turbo fuck you psychic lasers. Then with the fortresses gone,
it doesn't.
the Cadians would be almost defenseless and could be mopped up with orbital bombardment and space marine assaults. See,
Right.
Abel was playing a delicate game. He did not want Chaos to control him, nor did he want his council to become unbalanced by serving one of the Chaos gods more than the rest. Launching a full-on psycho invasion of Cadia, killing billions in glorious bloody combat, would make Corny horny as fuck, and grant him more influence on Abaddon's council. Abaddon could only maintain his position and free will if balance was kept. Each of the
Right.
Chaos gods wanted Abaddon as their own. So by Abaddon destroying Cadia by making a special Blackstone child and then using a fortress that was not of Chaos make, he would achieve the victory by his own merits without even needing Chaos, ensuring he didn't owe them anything for delivering Cadia. Thanks to the
Which is
brave
pretty based,
sacrifice of
honestly.
Cadia's scout ships, Cadia did have a few
Good
days
plan by
warning and
Abaddon.
instantly begun preparing. There was even a special bell forged from the blood of an Imperial Saint in Trazin's collection that began ringing, causing the other bells on Cadia to ring, as it was supposed to ring during Cadia's darkest hour. The ringing of
Really?
the bell, which should have been impossible as it was in stasis, actually tore a huge part of Trazin's collection apart, which massively pissed him off, but also warned him that shit was going down. Hence,
Really?
Trazin
That's actually kind of funny. I had no idea. Like, I know, obviously, Trazin was there, right? Trazin was there. And he obviously helped. I think he tried to activate, he helped try to activate the pillars on Cadia. And even though that was, I guess, in theory successful, the ultimate battle was not a victory for obvious reasons, as I'm sure we'll find out here in a little bit. But I didn't know that bell rung and actually, like, he had one in his collection and it fucking ripped apart as part of his collection. That's really sad, man. Damn, I can see why that would piss him right off and why he'd go straight to Cadia afterwards. Damn.
collection apart, which massively pissed him off, but also warned him that shit was going down. Hence, Trazin went on his own quest, one that would mark him as a hero, but more on that later. Now, Cadia had a ton of troops on the planet at the time. However, the issue was they were incredibly ununified. There was a large contingent of Sisters of Battle. However, they insisted they had to remain in their shrine fortress, protecting sacred relics. There were Dark Angels, but they were protecting their downed battleship, which had been
Yeah, see, and like that's the thing too, and it shows like the weakness of the Imperium. Even though they are the Imperium, even though they're fighting at this point one threat that is unified against them, they themselves, each like sub-faction has their own motivations, I guess you could say, right? Like the Sisters of Battle, they could have been probably fucking invulnerable on the field, but they're in there protecting all these relics, all these ancient texts, whatever have you. They're in their shrines, right? Which makes sense, right? I understand that, protect like the valuable relics, but in the context of this battle, when the planet is going to be fucking cracked, doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like, think about what you're protecting to begin with here, right? Like, and obviously that's hindsight. Hindsight's a bitch, and they obviously didn't know how the end result would play out, right? But again, right? Like, if your planet is being threatened, it does you no good to just protect the shrine when the planet itself is in turmoil or threatened directly, right? That's how I see it.
protecting sacred relics. There were
Not to say that
Angels,
they only
but were
stayed in
protecting
there,
their
but
downed
you know what I
battleship,
mean.
Which had been knocked out of the sky during the Black Crusade. There were Space Souls who were going to take on a roaming role of attacking the enemy's backline. There were Black Templars who thought that fighting and dying on the Martyrs' Rampart, which was a pretty useless choke point, would be cool as they liked the name of it. And various other forces who were content just to do their own thing. Creed wanted to withdraw everyone to Khazad-Kraft, the greatest fortress on Cadia, which was also home to the Cadian Pylon Array and Nexus, something he knew Abaddon wanted to destroy, as Creed knew the pylons had some kind of anti-warp effect. He even had a tech priest working on the pylons to try and make them operable and controllable. Now, the first part of the battle is depressing as hell. The Black Fleet rips through Cadia's orbital defenses, the Blackstone Fortress looms over Khazad-Kraft and begins preparing to fire its laser at them, just as the tech priest reports that the test firing of the null array to block the laser had failed. So it's like, that's it. Or it would have been if it wasn't for our favorite Pokemon collector Trazin.
Yeah.
See, he had noticed the rise of the threat of chaos, and he
he
recognized
activated
that
the
if Cadia
pillars last
fell,
second,
the
right?
galaxy would be torn torn apart and everything would go to shit. So Trazyn flew to Cadia and snuck into Khazad-Kraft. He was hoping to take a very backseat role, only subtly helping the tech priest make the pylons operable. However, he noticed the tech priest was dog shit, so he basically just to build the Null-Array Nexus himself.
Oh my god.
So when Abaddon fired the fortress,
oh come on now, that's not fair.
Off Abaddon an astounding creed. This would not be some weak sauce one-sided execution. Cadia would fight. Now Abaddon was very pissed, because now he basically had to use chaos to win. His plan to do it himself had failed. He knew he needed to destroy the Null Array under Khazad-Kraft so the Will of Eternity could do the rest, so a massive ground invasion was launched. However, one of Abaddon's greatest lieutenants was becoming just as much of an asset as a liability. Arkantos was a World Eater champion of Khorne who wanted to ascend to demonhood. Abaddon did not want him to, as it would give Khorne too much influence on the council. When Arkantos was attacking an orbitable plate, he was engaged in so much slaughter that he began ascending. However, Abaddon ordered fire.
This guy's literally going full demon mode, holy shit.
And causing Khorne to get bored and leave, leaving Arkantos as this half-ascended abomination. When the invasion was launched, here are the various battle zones. Arkantos led a
outright sabotage the poor guy.
His warriors, called the Hounds of Abaddon, and 2 Lord of Skull demon engines to attack the Sister of Battle Shrine, as he believed that by spilling a ton of sacred blood, it would complete his transformation. The rest of the Hounds of Abaddon attacked the Dark Angel strike cruiser. The Iron Warriors landed their forces and began preparing to siege Khazad-Kraft. However, they were harried and attacked by the Space Wolves. The Word Bearers and their cultist army attacked the Martyrs' Rampart, defended by the Black Templars, while the rest of Abaddon's forces attacked the various fortresses of Cadia, with the ones with weak void shielding getting blasted from orbit. It was literally a planet-wide war. The entire Black Legion was present alongside thousands of other traitor Hastatis from other legions and millions of cultists and traitor guardsmen. Abaddon also employed the use of an absolute
and Titans, everything.
Helldrakes are exceptionally good at taking down aircraft. They are nimble, hit hard, and are any fighter pilot's worst nightmare. Abaddon wanted air supremacy, and one of his first victories of Cadia was smashing the Imperial aircraft counterattack. Now, there were a ton of really awesome side stories.
Which is smart, I have to say. If you can take out the enemy's aerial assets in atmosphere, they truly do have no hope. If you can rain air supremacy, orbital bombardments, or even, again, in atmosphere air assets, you just win. I think hands down, you just win. If you can bombard people from the sky and they can't fucking do anything about it, you're done. That's just plain and simple the fight right there.
Of Cadia was smashing the Imperial aircraft counterattack. Now, there were a ton of really awesome side stories, mostly focused on the guardsmen, that I won't go into detail today as it would make the video 5 hours long, and I honestly think it's worth reading Fall of Cadia for these alone. But as a quick summary, we have an amazing story of a pilot who gave everything she had for Cadia, a Kazakhstan soldier who killed over a dozen traitor space marines and felt desperate to call his name to slay Abaddon himself, an ex-crime lord turned loyalist defender who managed to thwart a horrifying sabotage attempt that would have killed everyone, a brave captain who held the line of a key location against insane odds, ensuring there would be an evacuation route of Cadia if things got bad. Even just the lore about Kel, Creed's right-hand man, was amazing. However, for today's
video, sounds really cool. There's a lot of like individual stories in that story.
Did unite at Khazad-Kraft for the final siege of the enemy, partly because they respected Creed, but partly because they had no choice or it was the next logical move in their plan. The Space Wolves actually managed to kill the Iron Warriors and their commander, heading back to Khazad-Kraft now that the task was done. The Dark Angels abandoned their strike cruiser after the Death Guard started bombing it with AIDS juice. The Sisters of Battle took an absolute pounding, even unleashing a horde of arco-flagellants against the enemy and managed to kill both the Lord of Skulls. However, the bloodshed allowed Arkantos to finally ascend, so the 2 canonesses, both sisters, took their remaining warriors and left to Khazad-Kraft. The only force who did not return were the Black Templars, who were so stubborn that they decided to remain on the Martyrs' Rampart, killing a shitload of word-bearers and cultists, despite the location literally having 0 strategic value. Now here's where it gets dicey.
I love the Black Templars, dude, but yeah, they let the ball drop sometimes. They're far too fucking willing to be martyrs of themselves for damn near no reason at all. Like, I get it, but you can kill heretics and traitors where it actually will fucking matter, dude. Like, come on, please.
Despite the location literally having 0 strategic value. Now here's where it gets dicey. Arkantos was extremely powerful from all the bloodshed, like he was a turbo demon prince, and he launched a full-on blitz attack of Khazad-Kraft, which began to fall incredibly quickly as the defenders were not prepared for his sheer might, as well as the sabotage done to the fortress that allowed it to fall faster. Now it didn't fall fast because the defenders were weak or didn't put up a fight, it fell fast because Arkantos literally didn't give a fuck about his casualty count. Khazar was full of traps, kill zones and the like. He lost his entire warband in this blitz attack, every single Black Legionnaire under his command, the entirety of the Hounds of Abaddon, many of them were the best of the Black Legion, dead.
Jesus.
The attack only working because the Loyalists didn't have anything that could kill Akanthos. Like, the dude's wings were actually just another demon attached to him like some kind of symbiotic creature. He killed both the Canonesses, killed most of the Sisters of Battle, killed an Emperor's champion Black Templar, because yes, the Black Templars finally came after one of them literally had to lie to his commander and tell him he had a vision that they needed to stop being fucking retards and actually contribute. Akanthos even killed the
Oh my god.
that would defend.
Stop being retards and actually contribute. Oh man, dude, the Black Templars. I love them, but fuck yeah, that's a very apt statement right there. Unfortunately, oh man.
To stop being fucking retards and actually contribute. Akanthos even killed the Tech Priest and his Skitarii that were defending the Null Array, before then breaking the control nexus of the Null Array itself. The dude was unstoppable. Even Creed was like, fuck this, and entered the battle, hell pistols drawn. Now, as a fun note, Trizin hadn't revealed himself yet. However, he was with his Huntmaster, an elite Necron sniper, hiding in various pocket dimensions around Khazar. However, Trizin wanted to help in his own way, so he would pick out enemy champions and then his Huntmaster would blow their head clean off. He even mind-shackled the crew of a traitor Baneblade and got it to turn its guns on its own warriors. However, despite everyone coming together, Akanthos was too strong, but then something fucking epic happened. Like, this part always gives me goosebumps. A force of pure light was ripping its way across Cadia. Enemy cultists who saw it threw down their weapons and ran, many even just killing themselves. It beat on wings of light and gold, and it struck the ground in front of Akanthos. This righteous being brought back the two dead Canonesses, infusing them with power. It was Saint Celestine. She had come at Cadia's dark
Saint Celestine,
She charged Akanthos, and for the first time, the demon took a step back. She hacked and slashed, and in short order, slew him, banishing him back to the warp. At a similar time, the Phalanx arrived in system, as did the Legion of the Damned, Belisarius Call, a lost sister of battleship full of warriors.
And the Legion of the Damned showed up too.
The Phalanx, combined with Battlefleet Cadia, attacked the Blackstone Fortress, gutting it and fucking it up, more or less killing it. At a similar time, a Space Wolf force who had managed to get on board initiated a sabotage against its reactor, damaging it further. The Fortress Child was...
Those wolves are like actually the unsung fucking heroes though. Like, even though ultimately what they did didn't work, sadly, they fucking went in, dude. They went balls in. They sacrificed themselves on those boarding torpedoes. Like, they sacrificed a whole fucking ship on those boarding torpedoes, dude. Just so a few of them could get in there and try to get the job done. Like, straight up, those wolves fucking... They really don't get enough credit for what they did, like, straight up.
Get on board initiated a sabotage against its reactor.
I'm usually not a wolf fanboy, but in this case, they fucking,
was also shocked to learn that the fortress
they deserve it. They deserve the wreck.
Hated her and treated her like an infection. It was literally helping itself get destroyed, as it would rather destruction over corruption. After all, it was a creation of the Elder. Abaddon then abandoned her and the fortress, leaving her to die. Now, Abaddon hadn't taken the field at all until this point, but now was the time. He was, after all, a warrior first and foremost. Now, he already put the plan in motion to use the vengeful spirit to push the dead Blackstone Fortress into Cadia, but one of his greatest flaws, which is also one of his strengths, is that he loves a good scrap. He loves getting hands-on, so he personally leads a final invasion against the combined force of Loyalists, as he wanted to basically get revenge. He had suffered way worse than he wanted to. The plan was to use the Will of Eternity to make it a one-sided slaughter. Then he could use the Blackstone Fortress against Terra and other key targets. Instead, he lost the Blackstone Fortress, he lost a massive chunk of the Black Legion, he lost his greatest warlord to Khorne, he lost his Iron Warriors contingent, most of his Wordbearer contingent, most of his Nightlord contingent. The price paid was so fucking high, and the worst part is that it wasn't against Guilliman or the Lion.
It was literally just Cadia.
Or Dante or Azrael or Logan. It was against a man. Zaka Creed had defied Abaddon. Abaddon, who was a transhuman supremacist, who thought all space marines superior to baseline humans, who now had his ass whooped by a baseline human. Abaddon took this extremely personally, and he vowed to kill Creed himself. The defenders spread out across various strong points around the pylon array, the plan being to hold the line long enough for Belisarius Call to rebuild the pylon network. Now, Trizin actually knew of Call and respected him a lot, so he revealed himself to Call and offered him his help. Together, they began rebuilding the array with the goal of hypercharging the pylons and sealing the Eye of Terror.
That's a cutscene we see.
A true permanent victory over chaos. The Loyalists held on for 2 days against the full might of the Black Black Legion until Abaddon personally assaulted Creed's position and broke his line, forcing Creed to withdraw and giving the traders a direct line of access to Cole and Trizin. Now here's where it gets really fucked. The traders attack a large cabin with Cole in it. As he tries to finish his work, he only has some of Creed's men, some Skitarii and Mechanicus war robots, and a few other elements to protect himself. The other loyalist forces were on their way, but the attack was very sudden, so they weren't there yet. So Trizin decides to unleash his Pokeballs. He throws out an entire company of Heresy-era Ultramarines, including Contemptor Dreadnoughts. The Ultramarines still think the Heresy is raging, and despite being confused by the Black Legion coloring and insignia, it's very easy to tell Heretic from Loyalist, so they get stuck in. The captain personally engaging Abaddon in a duel. Trizin also deployed a Custodian Blade Champion, one of the deadliest Custodians there is, into the battle, who began ripping through the traders and even clapped a Hellbrute in a 1v1.
Holy
shit. At a similar time, the Legion of the Damned arrived, the Space Wolves arrive, everyone arrives, shit is absolutely fucked. Trizin is holding on to one final Pokeball he doesn't want to—
And I wonder, like, what exact, like, company of Ultramarines this would be. Like, who was it that got captured like this? Maybe just unnamed people, you know? I'm sure they're not the most important in the grand scheme of things, like their names and whatnot. Just more the fact that he has them. But damn, like, the fact that they went missing and now they're just showing up here, that would be insanity for these traders, also for them, even though they don't really fucking know what's happening, just how far in the future they are. But I wonder genuinely who those Space Marines were, like what, I guess, like who their captain was, like where they were assigned prior, like during the Heresy. I'd be very interested to learn that.
Everyone arrives. Shit is absolutely fucked. Trizin is holding on to one final Pokeball he doesn't want to unleash unless absolutely necessary, as there is something terrible within it. Now despite everything, Abaddon still pushes forward. He kills the Ultramarine captain, feeling envy that the captain was able to die thinking it was the Heresy. He one-shots the Custodian Blade Champion, which is some fucking bullshit in my opinion. Like sure, let him beat him, but a one-shot is dumb and honestly just comes across as Abaddon wank. Especially since it wasn't skill-based, it was legit just Drachnian being able to cut through the Blade Champion's swords. So Trizin finally unleashes the final Pokeball, and it contains the scariest thing in all of 40k, a woman. Inquisitor Greyfax to be more precise. Greyfax is like the John Wick of Warhammer 40k. She's the boogeyman to heretics and aliens alike. She has unbreakable will and single-minded purpose. Even mind-shackled by scarabs, which should make her slave to Trizin's will, she still attempts to kill Trizin as soon as he lets her out of her Pokeball, which should be impossible.
What the fuck?
Enters the battle. However, it was only the arrival of Saint Celestine that stopped Abaddon from reaching Cole and Creed, giving the Loyalists enough time so that Cole can finally activate the Null Array. And what a moment it was. The planet shakes as anti-warp power surges through it and strikes into the Eye of Terror. The eye begins shrinking, closing in on itself, and the warp on Cadia is kicked in the dick. Demons start vanishing, Chaos Champions start weakening. However, the effect is twofold. The Legion of the Damned start fading and Saint Celestine begins weakening. Since Abaddon mostly rejects the gifts of Chaos, he doesn't actually weaken too much and then is able to beat Celestine. However, before he can kill her, Greyfax does the most absurd thing I've ever seen in the entire setting. See, Greyfax thinks Celestine is an abomination, and she wants to capture her, interrogate her, and execute her for heresy. However, seeing Abaddon about to steal the kill,
the fuck?
Greyfax is so
That's so crazy, dude.
Anti-warp making
and again, there you go. Like again, like counter motivations within the Imperium. Like you'll have the fucking, oh my god, you have the Sister of Battles over here, like inspiring, fucking leading everybody, you know, killing demons, whatever have you. Clearly is not a traitor, but then Greyfax over here is gonna be like, that's a fucking Xenos abomination. What? We can't have this. You're ruining the perfect image of a human. Like, what the fuck? Bitch. Like, look around you.
Seeing Abaddon about to steal the kill, Greyfax is so enraged that even with the anti-warp making
about to steal the kill
seizures, she is still able to send a psychic blast at Abaddon so strong that it genuinely kicks him in the balls and staggers him. The attack is made up of pure anger, pain, and spite. With Abaddon staggered, the remaining Cadians charge at him, shooting him with a gazillion laser bolts, as Creed shouts over and over again, "Cadia stands! Cadia stands!" Then Celestine gets up and shoves her blade into Abaddon's back, wounding the War Master of Chaos and causing him to do a teleport extraction retreat. Abaddon had finally been beaten. He would not slay Creed. He would not claim Cadia. He had lost this warrior's battle. In a final act of pure strategic spite, the Will of Eternity was launched to Cadia and begun the planet's doom. Now it didn't just instantly blow up Cadia. Cadia was a world. The Blackstone Fortress, although big, was more like a meteor, and it wasn't traveling very fast when it hit. hit. However, it had done enough damage that the planet was to become inhabitable and needed to be abandoned. Now, Creed had actually planned for this. He had secretly set up an evacuation plan to ensure as many Cadians could get off world as possible if needed. This was a secret plan because the Inquisitor Lord on the planet said that
this is from the cutscene of Battlefleet Gothic Armada. Damn.
Tainted from the experience and would become heretics. So when Creed gave the order to evacuate everyone, she got on the Vox network and said, "There is no evacuation. Everyone will stay. Everyone will die," before then ordering the Sisters of Battle to execute anyone who tried to leave. Then something fucking awesome happened. Another person got on the Vox and said, "Go fuck yourself, you dumb slut. Everyone evacuate now." And then the Inquisitor was like, "Who the fuck is countering my order? I am an Inquisitor Lord. I have authority." And the response was, "My name is Inquisitor Greyfax. I was an Inquisitor before you were born, bitch, and I outrank you. Now everyone get off this fucking rock." Thus the evacuation commenced. It was chaotic, but it allowed millions of Cadians to get off world.
Wow.
The Inquisitor who tried to prevent the evacuation still tried to stop it and was killed by Cadians for her efforts. A very satisfying death because she was a fucking bitch, dude. Holy god. The Phalanx took a lot of the refugees.
And like, I kind of respect that too at the same time. Like, Greyfax came in and actually ordered the evacuate. Like, no, that's fucking bullshit. Evacuate. Like, the planet is like cracking as we fucking speak. This shit is going nuclear. Like, get the fuck off. Like, what do you mean stay here and die? Like, for what? And that's the thing too. Like, a lot of the doctrine in 40k, it is just stand there and die. You know what I mean? Then dishonor yourself with retreat. If you retreat, you can fight another day. And you can fight stronger another day. You can learn, you know? If you just die there, that's it. So I don't understand, like, and again, the Templars, as cool as they are, the needless sacrifice, needless, doesn't fucking contribute to anything, to the final victory. If you're gonna die, die for something useful, damn it. You know what I mean? Like, come on now.
Satisfying death because she was a fucking bitch, dude. Holy god. The Phalanx took a lot of the refugees, but there were many other ships to take them. Creed decided he would stay on Cadia with his remaining troops and fight the enemy until the world shook apart around them. This was for two reasons. First, he was really fucking tired. He was tired of the stress, the pressure, the war. He wanted to rest.
No doubt.
Secondly, he knew there would be non-stop inquiries, investigations, interrogations that would eventually break him. He knew that he would inspire more people by dying on Cadia as a hero and a martyr, rather than getting dragged and his mistakes scrutinized until his very character itself is assassinated. However, death would not claim Creed on this day. Truzin had worked hard to save Cadia. He had given up a number of his exhibits to protect the pylon network. He wished for compensation worthy of his efforts. And what compensation would be more worthy than taking Creed for his collection? So as Creed was surrounded and fighting to the last with his men, he saw a bright green flash, and then he was gone. The final result of the fall was this. Cadia was broken and most Cadians were dead. However, millions evacuated thanks to Creed, and millions more were scattered throughout the galaxy. So the Cadians are rebuilding and even have a new homeworld. Abaddon lost his Blackstone Fortress and a massive chunk of the Black Legion. The Great Rift opened as the Cadian pylon network keeping it shut was destroyed alongside the planet. Saint Celestine, Belisarius Call, Greyfax, and various other heroes were grouped together and were able to make their way to Macragge to revive Guilliman, a huge dub for the Imperium.
Wow.
So while it was most certainly a victory for Chaos and Abaddon, they paid a heavy price, and the Imperium didn't leave it empty-handed. The final scenes are actually quite tragic. As the rescue crafts are about to launch off the planet, the Cadians are picking up rocks, putting sand and dirt into bottles, literally just trying to keep some small piece of their homeworld before it was destroyed. Cadia broke before the guard did. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up some.
That is kind of sad, actually.
This is the final 24 hours, guys and gal. Then it's gone for good. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Very nice, very nice. That was a very, very good and informative video on the fall of Cadia by MajorKill there, guys. Big thank you to everyone who recommended that video to me. I always love checking out the fall of Cadia. Again, I don't know which... Again, I'll have to say, like, again, just the Siege of Terra, with just everything that goes on, how many characters are involved, everything that happens during it, of course. But again, the fall of Cadia is also just a fucking sick example of, like, Warhammer at its finest, you know what I mean? And again, I do appreciate it a lot more because, again, so much of it literally was just a guard. It wasn't like they were on equal playing fields there. They should have lost, right? But they didn't. They held on and they kept fucking fighting. And a big part of that is straight up due to Creed, his efforts, and just, like, again, the badassery of him. Everyone involved there did a really, really fantastic job. Also, Trazyn coming in there was absolutely clutch. Now, although he didn't, you know, he tried his best to sway things. It obviously didn't happen that way. But again, for him to get involved in anything, you know, he only gets involved if it's of absolute importance. So you know he wasn't fucking around. You know this wasn't just like some random event in 40k history. This was something big that, like, eyes needed to be on, and obviously, you know, what we see happen after the fall of Cadia too shows just how important it really, really was, right? And obviously leads to the rise of Guilliman eventually, which is also massive. But I thought this video was great. If you guys enjoyed the reaction, hit that like button, subscribe for more content from me, and of course, leave your recommendations down in the comments below. And a big thank you to all of our members, all of our Hastati, our Triarii, our Principe, Dagenhart, and of course, our Praefectus, Hobbit, and Fear. I appreciate you guys. And yeah, without any further delay, this has been Centurion. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, guys.